Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today we have a wedding report, and I have an Olympian with us. This is Polina Edmunds, and she just got married to Ian Bast. And Polina is a retired American figure skater. She is the 2015 Four Continents champion and two-time U.S. national silver medalist. She represented the United States at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, finishing ninth. And Polina is the host of figure skating podcast called The Iron Butterfly, where she reviews recent figure skating competitions and interviews elite figure skaters. She recently married Ian Bast, and she is here to spill all the details on her wedding. So welcome, Polina.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you. I'm a former figure skater. I did it for 9 years, and this podcast could probably quickly turn into a figure skating podcast, but we're here to talk about your wedding.
Love it. Love it.
So we'll start off with all the fun wedding questions. So, how did you and Ian even meet in the first place?
So we met in college by a mutual friend. Essentially, I was in a sorority, and one of my sorority littles, I had gotten pretty close with her by the second year, and she ended up bringing one of her childhood friends, which was Ian, to visit one night on a night that we were all going out to the college bars. So we met in the bar, quote unquote. But the mutual connection made it
Right.
natural and organic. But yeah, we ever since then we just kind of started dating. We clicked right away, and we were both very busy. I was still skating at the time, so
Wow.
we would see each other on weekends. We weren't going to the same school, but it just our lives kind of naturally entwined from there. And 5 years later, we're married.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So he was with you through your skating career. So would he come to competitions and everything with you and just like be there as a support? Or was he kind of studying like in a different place? Or how did that all work?
Yeah, so we kind of met at the end of my skating career. I was
Okay.
still skating and training. It was kind of my last season before the pandemic hit, and then that kind of took
Hmm.
hiatus for everyone. But I kind of decided to retire from there. He was extremely supportive, though. He'd come to some of my practices. He was watching my events online, the live showings, which was nerve-wracking for me because I had never really dated anyone before. So
Yeah.
having that factor was extra nerves for me.
Yeah.
But it was really nice having somebody else that was so focused in their fields, because we both were kind of inspiring each other in different ways of just like working hard, doing the things that we loved, and just being independent from each other while also trying to create a life together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm sure like during your figure skating career, it's hard to date when you're just focusing so much on a sport that is pretty intense. And so for you to go to college and meet him and just have that connection is so fun. So, okay, you said you've been together for 5 years up to this point. So what was the proposal like?
The proposal was so beautiful. We got engaged in Bali. We were on
Oh my
vacation with
gosh.
two of our best friends. So it was a really sweet moment. But we got engaged 4 years into dating. So I would say, in terms of being surprised about getting a ring, I wasn't on that field, but I was very taken aback in a good way, at how much effort he put in, because essentially we had flown out to Singapore for a work conference that he was going to. He works in biotech, so we were going to
Wow.
a lung cancer research conference in Singapore, and so from there we went to Bali on vacation for 2 weeks, and we met our friends there. And there was like 1 or 2 days within that time period where he and I kind of broke off on our own to go to Nusa Penida, which is a little island off the coast of Bali. And
Oh my gosh.
he planned the entire thing for us, which is not unusual. He is the travel planner, and I just go along for the ride.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, we were there, and I kind of was thinking, I felt like there were a lot of little signs throughout the summer that maybe it was going to happen soon. His parents got engaged in Bali,
No way. That's so
over
cool.
20 years ago. Yeah. So I kind of knew that it was coming, or that it was a possibility. And he ended up, we went like, snorkeling in the morning, and then we
Oh,
went to these like
fun.
beautiful lookout spots throughout the day, and then we ended our day by going to an Airbnb he had booked, which he had shown me a different picture that morning. But then we ended up coming to this gorgeous bungalow, and as soon as we pulled up to the back of it, I knew something was up because it was just so beautiful. And we walked inside, and there were rose petals on the floor, and the swan towels kissing on the bed, and
Oh,
just it was, I mean, it was beautiful, and it felt way too special to not be for something special.
right. Yeah.
And there was like a huge view. There was a lookout net on kind of like a balcony from the bungalow that was overhanging like a cliff down to the ocean,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
scary, but
Yeah.
so beautiful. So yeah, so as soon as we got there, he was like, "Oh, like, let's shower. We've been hiking. Let's take some pictures, like put on your favorite dress." So of course, like I'm like anticipating, like, oh my God, it's happening right
Oh my
now. It has to
gosh.
be like, if not, still a great time. But
Right.
what a wasted opportunity if he doesn't use it here. But yeah, it was pretty funny. He's like set up the camera, he set up the drone in the air, and then he asked me on the lookout net, and it was really beautiful. And he had somebody coming, who was our driver for the day, was driving us around and taking us to the little hike spots. He came and took our camera and did a little photo shoot for us after the
Oh,
fact,
so
which
cool.
was really cute. So yeah, I mean, it was just a beautiful, so much effort put into the moment by him. And the funny part about that is, like, when I was younger, growing up in the skating world, I was really attuned to luxury in terms of wanting to be ritzy, and wanting to one day have the materialistic things that show how hard I've worked, and what I've earned,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And kind of as I went to college, I realized I was being super extra, and I kind of started to come down to earth of, what, like, this was a very specific niche that I was watching people in and aspiring to be. And now that I'm surrounded by more people and different types of lifestyles, it's not really who I am anymore. And I'm so thankful for people like him who kind of brought me down to earth.
That's awesome.
But his engagement was kind of like, in a weird way, like an homage to who I used to be, in terms of just like that picturesque moment. And I
Yeah.
didn't ask for it, which, like, if
Wow.
he had met me 5 or 6 years before, I would have been like, yeah, this is what I'm expecting, and so
Right.
it was
Yeah.
really special for that reason. So I was really emotional at that fact over,
Mm.
the, oh my God, we're getting married. Like, I was excited, but it was more so like, wow, you did so much for me in this moment, because you're romantic too, and I love that.
Mhm. That's so cool. I'm sure that just made it so much more special too, because with your whole shift in how you viewed things, it was like it almost took you back and like came as more of a surprise to you, which I'm sure was just really cool and just it was so dreamy. Like, I mean, looking at your photos on Instagram, I was just like gasping looking at them because of like the netting and just like the view even from your Airbnb is just like so gorgeous in Bali, and just like to have this like tropical destination. It's just like every girl's dream. And so I think that is so cool that he just like went above and beyond and just like went for it. So good
Yeah.
on him. All right, so you got engaged, and then what was the wedding planning process like for you? You were engaged for about a year, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it was pretty funny because as soon as we got home, our families were extremely excited, and my mom was automatically like, "All right, so what are we thinking for wedding? What are we thinking for venue?" I was like, "Whoa, like let's kind of bask
Slow
in
down.
engagement for a
Yeah.
second." But they were really honest to kind of like get the ball moving, because it does take a long
Mhm.
time to plan a wedding and kind of have your venue figured out, if you want it within like that 1 year time frame. And
Right.
so, in retrospect, they were totally good being on top of us for that. But yeah, I mean, we just kind of started wedding planning pretty much a month after getting engaged. And at first, we had wanted to do a destination wedding. It was kind of always Ian's dream to do one, because his parents also, they had a destination wedding in Cabo.
Wow. Oh,
Uh,
cool.
but then, on the flip side, my family is a little bit more traditional with the like hometown wedding romanticism. And ultimately, like, we knew that we wanted to invite a lot of my extended family and kind of do a family reunion. So it was a little bit easier to plan that in our hometown rather than picking a location elsewhere. But we picked just a beautiful venue in the Bay Area. It was at Filoli Gardens, which is like a historic house in Woodside, California, very close to Palo Alto. And the mansion is like open to the public every day to come and you kind of look at the house and the museums. And the gardens are like upkept. They recently started doing weddings there like around 5 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
we kind of we did a tour of it, and it was just so out of this world beautiful. And I honestly didn't really think of it as an option before, just because I was kind of thinking like, oh, me and Ian, we like to do outdoors things. Like maybe we'll have a beach wedding or maybe we'll do a forest wedding. So again, like a garden wedding was
Mm-hmm.
something a younger version of me would have been like, oh yeah, like this is so girly and beautiful.
Wow.
And my parents really liked the garden idea as well. And of course, Ian and his family were on board too. um,
Nice.
but yeah, so it was really wonderful planning a wedding again, honoring kind of the girl that I was growing up, and kind of getting to get excited about those little details that I had kind of put a damper on, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I did have a wedding planner for the
Oh,
year.
cool.
That was something, I think it was one of those like required by the venue things where they have wedding planners like that are not necessarily affiliated with the venue, but they've done weddings at the
Mm-hmm.
venue before just because there were so many rules for it being a historic venue.
Right.
There's a certain, amount of vendors that are vetted and approved by the gardens to use. And then, there's all these other little details that aren't applicable to other places. So having
Mm-hmm.
her was definitely necessary, but
That's great.
it made my life a lot easier because work wise, I travel a lot for work with figure skating, and
Yeah,
I'm
for
doing
sure.
seminars, I'm doing shows. This year was honestly my biggest travel year. So I was gone
Wow.
at least like twice a month on the weekends, like every month leading up to the wedding. And
Wow.
even the month of the wedding, I was gone. I was overseas for a week, like a month before the wedding, and then I
Wow.
came back and had two separate like work trips on weekends leading up. The weekend before the wedding, I was doing a work event
No way. Oh
in the
my
city.
gosh.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I could have said no to those things, and I was planning
Yeah.
to say no, but then I just kind of decided, I'm going to do it. I can fit it all in. Um,
Yeah. Well, that's thanks to your planner too. To
yeah,
just like know that everything was like in her hands and that she was handling it, and I'm sure the venue too. And if you
yeah,
had already everything planned already and you weren't really working last minute, then it's like why not go on these work trips? So, yeah.
yeah. It was. I mean, it made so much sense for me personally with my scheduling to have somebody helping with the
Mhm.
logistical sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ian and I had a lot of creative thoughts going into it, so we were definitely
Yeah.
like steering what we wanted. But it was nice to have somebody on the other side kind of taking our ideas and being like, okay, here are your options. Like you tell
Mhm.
me which direction we're going into, which of these top three do you pick as your one? Like it was
Yeah.
really helpful for that reason.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's so cool. And I love how you keep referring to just like who you were like as a figure skater and like incorporating like those elements into your proposal, into your actual wedding. And then it does just like take this turn because like after you say I do, then you are like you're a new woman, you are married now. And so I really like just your outlook on that and everything. And too like your venue, I saw the photos and everything and it's just like to die for, gorgeous. And it totally does look like it could be in a destination and not just California, just with it being historic with the gardens and everything. And so I feel like you did still kind of get that feel for it, even though it was still close to your hometown, which is really cool. And I love that.
Totally.
So, as far as your attire goes, like, how was dress shopping? And, like, did you pick a dress that you thought you were going to pick, or was it a surprise to you?
It's funny because I really didn't do that much dress shopping. I went into one store in San Francisco. It was a Grace Loves Lace store, which I had
Oh, I
seen
love
on
Grace
social
Loves
media. Like their
Lace.
dresses are so beautiful. Like years before my wedding, I was saving their dresses and whatnot. And so
Hmm.
I went into their store with my mom and grandma on a random weekday. I tried on 4 or 5 dresses and I picked dress number 3 and I walked out the door with my
Nice.
wedding dress. And so
Perfect.
it
Love
was
it.
it was
Easy. Done.
pretty
Check.
funny. Yeah, it was pretty funny because I mean honestly, I had looked at their website and picked out the dress that I thought I wanted, and I saw a different dress that I didn't really like in the photos, but in general I usually like that style. It's the high neck. Um,
Hmm.
and I tried it on just for fun at the store, even though I didn't like it in photos. And once I put it on, it just fit my body so perfectly. And my mom and grandma agreed, like, oh, this is the one. So that was kind
Yeah.
of funny. But my maid of honor, my best friend, she wanted to go with us, and it was during the workday, so she was like, "Oh, I'll just go with you, to a different dress store that you go. Like, I'll miss this one, like, And I text her, "Oh, I
Yeah.
got my dress." And she's like,
You're
"No."
like, there are no more appointments. I already got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so that was funny. That actually
Yeah.
did end up being my reception dress though, because
Hmm.
a couple months went by and I was just talking to my mom about it, and we both kind of wanted the princess moment for this ceremony. And something funny that my aunt said to my mom early on was, "Oh, like the wedding dress is such an interesting component, because it's like, who is the bride dressing for? Is she,
Mm.
dressing to be the princess that her dad gives away, or is she dressing to kind of be a little bit more sexy for her new husband? Like what style she goes
Yeah.
for kind of tells you what she's prioritizing." And that, I thought that was so interesting, but
That
it was
is
so
so
true.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
I kind of wanted, I have such a close relationship with my dad, and he was so excited to you know, walk me down the aisle and all of that stuff. And so I did want that moment.
Hmm.
And I also just kept thinking, like, "Oh, this is the one time I'm going to get to wear a huge dress." And
Yes.
the dress that I gotten from Grace Loves Lace, like, it was absolutely beautiful, but it's that type of style I could wear to any event, for the rest of my life, any
Hmm.
gala, any fancy dinner, whatever. But I can't really wear a big ball gown. So we ended up
Yes.
going to our local dress store in San Jose. It's called Trudy's Bridal. And I tried on, again, like for fun, I tried on probably around 15 dresses. And I went with the first dress I tried on, which was like a
Wow.
boat neck classic top. And I knew exactly what I wanted going in. Again, I requested the boat neck. I wanted the princess. It was the only dress in the whole store that had that style, and it was the one that I ended up picking. So I kind of knew what I
Wow.
wanted, and I got
Yeah.
what
Was your friend able to go with you to that appointment?
I wanted. Yeah, she didn't go out either.
Oh.
But I mean, I sent her a ton of photos, and funny enough, her older sister got engaged 2 weeks after me,
Oh,
I
wow.
believe, and then her wedding was 2 weeks before mine.
No
And she was
way.
the maid of honor in both. So like she
Oh
had
my
a really crazy
gosh.
year so she got to go wedding dress and doing all of that stuff with her sister.
Yeah, she still had that fulfilled. So, yeah, that's so cool. So, all these years wearing figure skating dresses and costumes and things, did that at all play a role into like what you wanted in a wedding dress? Or were you like, okay, these certain like silhouettes I really like and gravitate towards?
When I was younger, I really thought I was going to want florals and rhinestones and just like all of
Yeah.
that kind of beading that goes into skating dresses. But
Hmm.
as I've gotten older, I really just love the like classic. I guess they're calling it like the old money style these days, but it's
Yeah,
just kind of like
totally.
that very elegant, less is more look. And like as
Hmm.
I've grown professionally and just like being a young adult, I really gravitate towards that styling. So I knew that I wanted silk and I didn't really want any other detailing. And because of the venue we picked, the gardens, it was just kind of such a classy, like it reminded me of Gatsby times. Like I just wanted
Yeah.
this like really timeless classic look. So that was kind of guiding me more so than skating stuff. But I did,
Right.
when I tried on different dresses with sparkles and with like like things that looked like a snow princess. I definitely liked it a lot, but I just kept thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is a little bit distracting. And I was more so trying to match my dress to the venue and the
Right.
picture that I had of what the wedding, like decorations and whatnot were going to be, rather than thinking of like only the dress and then like matching other things around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That totally makes sense too, that when you are dress shopping, you do want to match it to like the time of year, the season, and also your venue. So like all those components definitely go into it, and also just your personal style as well. So that's awesome. All right, so let's get to your wedding. As far as the whole day goes, what were some of those like really special moments that stick out to you?
I mean, honestly, the whole like weekend leading up to it was really special because we didn't get to do our destination wedding. We kind of tried to create it for ourselves with our bridal parties. So, of course, the venue was so gorgeous and beautiful, and yeah, you don't feel like you're in the Bay Area, but we got two big Airbnbs in the redwood trees, just 20 minutes up the hill.
That's so
And
fun.
those are like the Santa Cruz Mountains. So it feels like you're in the forest. And we
That's
got
so
these two
cool.
like wooden cabins. And I was in the girls' house, of course, and then the boys' house. We'd gotten together, I think like Thursday, to the Airbnbs, and we had this group barbecue together. And then the following day, we had kind of like a group hike and brunch in the morning at the girls'
So
Airbnb.
cool.
And then, of course, the morning of, it was just like us in our robes, and we were taking wellness shots, and we were like popping champagne and just like soaking in the sun rays coming through the trees. And it felt like we weren't at home, which was really
Yeah,
helpful
that's
in terms of
cool.
really checking out and just focusing on the wedding and not getting distracted by, the mundane home things.
Hmm.
So I'd say like just that experience in all was really special because we got to really spend it with our bridal party.
Hmm.
But then in terms of the actual wedding, I think for me, what stands out, and I know for a lot of the guests, it felt this way too, was Ian and I really tried to make it as intimate as possible with little details, because we did have kind of a big wedding. It was around 250 people,
Okay.
um, but it didn't feel like a big wedding because the ambiance of it, of course, helped with that. We kind of had dangly string lights, and that made it feel like a ceiling. But
Yeah.
we wrote letters to all of our guests, and so this was something that we
Wow.
did throughout the summer,
That's
and
so
we left them
special.
on the chairs. So when our guests came, they kind of had a personalized card that just talked about our friendship and like how happy we were that they were there, and it just like it was really therapeutic for me, at least. I know he feels this way too, but throughout the summer sitting down, and it was like journaling, but you're thinking about
Yeah.
memories with every single person that you've invited, and it felt really special for me going into the wedding because of that, because I felt like in my own brain I had reconnected with everyone. And then I know
Yeah.
for them, like reading it at the venue, like seeing me in the white dress also was probably a crazy experience. So
Hmm.
we kind of tried to do things like that made it a little bit more personal, because obviously with weddings there's so many details that go in with the decorations and making
Hmm.
it pretty, and I don't know, everyone tries to make their own version of the same thing. um,
Right. It's so
but
true.
yeah, trying to figure out how to just kind of do your own DIY crafts within that, I think
Hmm.
makes it what old time weddings were.
Hmm.
So that was kind of something. I had my bridesmaids kind of help me with my makeup. My maid of honor did my hair. Like, so I kind of tried to do these things where I had my people helping me, and doing
That's
these things
cool.
with me. So, like, my bachelorette, beforehand, we made these collage boards of also every single guest. I tried to find a
Oh,
photo of me
yeah.
and Ian with every
That's
single
so
person that we invited, and we
cool.
just made this like huge gorgeous scrapbook style collage, and it was so fun for all of the girls to kind of cut everything out and glue it down with me. But
Hmm.
yeah, it just, those types of things were the things that I was probably most excited about.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I saw that your bachelorette party was it Mamma Mia themed?
Yeah, so I
That's
had
so fun.
it was really fun. I had zero planning. Like, my maid of honor did all of it. I just went down to Santa Barbara with the girls. I helped pick the Airbnb booking out, but I
I
didn't
love
know
that.
anything else that was happening. And it was just such a lovely weekend. It was really quick. It was like Friday afternoon to Sunday morning, and it was all we needed, really.
Right.
But it was like a really just like special, intimate thing, and she just killed it with all the details. So yeah.
That is so cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about with your wedding is I think I saw on your stories, did you and Ian do like a really special dance at your reception on the dance floor?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, I can't wait for the videos to come back.
I
I haven't gotten them
know.
from my videographer yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of I knew that I wanted to take some type of dance class before the wedding to kind of just get something choreographed for the two of us. And I thought it was going to be pretty simple. And of course, we were saving a lot of dance videos online because there's so many like, oh, save this for your first dance. And
That's so
we kind of made it
fun.
ourselves. But I had gotten connected earlier in the year with a ballroom teacher in the Bay Area, and she hosts her own dance podcast. So that's how I met her. Was I was a guest
No
on her
way.
podcast,
That's so fun.
and she was on the first 10 seasons of Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah, her name is Edita Slinska, and
Okay.
she just happens to live like 40 minutes from me up the road.
Wow.
So I just reached out to her basically a month before the wedding, and I asked her if she would like if we could take a couple lessons with her and if she could choreograph something for us. She was like, yeah, absolutely, come down. So we took our first lesson with her was 3 weeks before the wedding, which is crazy. And I wish we did it earlier in the summer. I mean, we didn't end up needing it. It worked out perfectly, but I kind of waited till the last minute because I'm so trained in dance and performing and skating.
Right.
But I forgot, my husband isn't. And he maybe could have felt a little bit more comfortable if we started
Yeah.
earlier, but he ended up absolutely killing it the night
Oh,
out.
good.
It
Yeah.
was
He's like
perfect.
up at night rewatching like videos and practicing.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, she gave us a beautiful ballroom dance, and it was
Yeah.
it felt when she originally showed it to us way more intricate than we were expecting. But
Wow.
it was, I mean, we ended up feeling really comfortable with it. And it was definitely, I think, a highlight of pretty much everyone's night. My parents,
Yeah.
like everybody has been talking to us about the dance because we didn't tell anyone. So no one was
Wow.
expecting it.
What a fun
And I think it was
surprise.
just fun for them to see because obviously everyone knows, like, I'm the figure skater. Of course, I know how
Right.
to dance like this, but watching Ian
Hmm.
kind of move with me and be like the leading role and doing that too was just a hoot for everyone. But
Yeah.
everyone was also really impressed. So it was awesome.
You're like, this is what it would be like if I did pair skating, but with my husband and just on a dance floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is so cool. So, as far as your guests go, did you invite some other figure skating guests? And like, is there anyone that we might recognize from your guest list who was there?
Yeah, I definitely invited quite a few skaters. I've become friends with so many over the years.
Hmm.
And again, if I kind of felt like we had a deep connection at some point in our friendship, I invited them. And so not everybody could make it, but
Right.
of the recent skaters, I had like from the last Olympics, Ashley Kane and Mariah
That's awesome.
Bell. I also had one of my good friends when I was skating, Nam Nguyen from Canada, and then Max Aaron, Courtney Hicks, and I were great friends. And then from the Bay Area, I'm really good friends with Brian Boitano and Christy Yamaguchi, and Sasha Coyne also came to the wedding.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so it was really special to have all of them there. And I've gone to a lot of events with Christy and Brian over the years, and then
Yeah.
Sasha just moved to San Francisco a year ago.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was really cool to have everyone there. And again, young me would have been fainting to know that they
Right, being
were
like
at my
Brian
wedding.
Boitano, Christy Yamaguchi are at my wedding. Like, yeah, you as like a 7-year-old or whatever, just be like, oh my gosh, but like you're living your dreams and you got to go to the Olympics and like have these figure skaters at your wedding. It's so cool. I love
Yeah,
that.
it was really special.
Yeah. One last wedding question for you, which I love asking everybody, is what advice would you give somebody planning their wedding now?
It's just so hard because there's so
Yeah,
many aspects that go into it.
I
But
know.
I mean, I definitely think kind of finding ways to be creative with your like close group of friends is probably one of the most meaningful things because this is something I kind of took into account as I was planning it was my mom, she got married in a super small town overseas in Russia 'cause she grew up there.
Yeah.
My dad, and it was like a small town affair. Like the mayor came to the wedding, like, like she
No
had her
way.
friends, like one of the women in town sewed her wedding gown. Like it's one of
Love
those like,
that.
yeah, like everyone kind of comes together to help like you celebrate this milestone, and support this next step in your life. And so I was trying to find ways to incorporate that into mine being a more modern wedding where like, yes, I can have everything done for me. And yes, I can order all of this on Etsy, or I can make like, I can print these things out. But what are ways that like me and the close people around me really feel like we're, I don't know, like just doing those things. For me, it was the having my maid of honor do my hair. And
Yeah.
luckily enough, she was good at doing hair, so that works for
That's
me. But,
amazing. Yeah.
but yeah, it was like those types of things, doing the photo collage boards, writing the letters. I think that if you get creative on those fronts, it feels really special, for
Hmm.
everyone involved. But if you're not a creative person, or like you would rather like not spend time on doing those things, that's totally fine. I would say just like figuring out like what aspects of your wedding you're excited about and making sure you execute those.
Hmm.
Because I will say like the only other thing that in retrospect I wish I had done was just on the day of my wedding, like we were all so checked out and I'm so
Right.
overwhelmed. And so is my mom. And
Right.
so is like, we don't have our phones. And my wedding planner, like she did an amazing job with our wedding overall. She was definitely just like letting us do our thing. And I kind of wish that I had a little bit more knowledge of the timeline, or just like had somebody like cracking the whip, like, okay, we're doing this now. Okay, we're doing this now. Cause you just
Hmm.
do not, you have no concept of time or where you're at or anything as the day goes on. And like I ended the night wishing that it went longer just so I could have done more
Yes.
things. So I kind of feel like if you have very specific things you want to do, like whether that's cutting the cake or tossing the bouquet or doing an exit, like whatever it is, like really having someone be like, okay, we're doing this now, and not asking
Yeah.
you like, oh, do you want to do it now? You
Hmm.
just don't, you can't, you need somebody to like steer the ship.
Oh yeah,
So making sure
definitely.
somebody's designated to really do that for you, I think is so important. So that'd be my piece
Hmm.
of advice.
Yeah, like you definitely it's give and take. It's like you want to just like soak in all those moments and you want it to be so natural in the day to just progress how it needs to. But then also you don't want to miss anything at the same time. So you do kind of need somebody to be like, we're cutting the cake now. Like
Yeah.
otherwise it's not gonna happen. Like, or we're gonna be
Yeah.
like super behind on this and like people are gonna be going home before the cake's cut, like, so I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's super important and really good advice. So so cool. Okay, we'll do just like a really quick little lightning round of like some skating questions because, we got to. So yeah, I just love like your style and I've followed you on Instagram for so long and your style is just like so graceful and everything and I love
Yeah.
that you can do twizzles. I could never do twizzles and your twizzles are just like next level. If anyone's listening and don't know what they are, it's just go and follow Polina and you will see this move happen. So, what is your favorite figure skating move?
I mean, skating move, definitely a twizzle.
Yeah.
I just have gotten so, it feels so natural for me now. And
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of just made it my thing when I perform is to kind of hold it for a really long time, and everybody just loves it. So that's definitely
Yeah,
like my favorite part. But I
that's
really
awesome.
do, as now that I'm an adult in skating and I've kind of grown my artistic development, I really lean into the dance aspect of skating in terms of just like really feeling musicality and leaning into the emotional aspect of whatever music I'm skating to. That's been really fun for me. So more so
Mm-hmm.
than the big tricks, I really like
Right.
the choreographical part.
Yeah, I love that. Like when I was a skater, I was more technical where I was like, I just want to jump. Like, give
Yeah.
me all the jumps. And like, the whole artistry part of it was like a little bit harder for me. So that's why I like see you and I like respect that so much. That is so cool. All right. So you went to the Sochi Olympics. What was the most memorable, I guess, memory you have from the Olympics?
I mean, I think just overall, the vibes of being in the village were probably
Yeah.
the most striking for me because I was so young, and even my own skating team, they didn't know me going into the games. I was just like this youngster that sprung onto the team. Everybody was like 10 years older than me, so
Wow.
I could have very easily been kind of ignored, if that makes sense. And on a different team, it's possible that I would have been, but the team that I went with was extremely welcoming, and they kind of just treated me like I was kind of like the little sister. They were like, "Oh my god, like you're part of this. Like, oh, we're all getting American flag onesies. Like, do you want one too?" And
That's
so I
so
felt really
fun.
included and really
Hmm.
respected by everyone, which that was probably the most surprising part to me was the respect I felt in the village, like from all countries and all athletes. Like, it didn't matter what country you represented or what age you were or what sport you did. Everyone just had this really mutual understanding of, we got here and this is the pinnacle of sports, and it's kind of a party in that sense of just like there's a wave of relief that you're even there. And then
Yeah.
there's the other component of being extremely focused and tense and stressed about your performance aspect. But yeah, I mean, I was going up to like the Canadian hockey team to ask for a photo with one of the players because he was a Sharks player and I grew up in San Jose.
That's so
And like,
cool. I
I don't
love
know if I
that.
would do that now, but like I was
Yeah.
15, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a selfie with Patrick Marleau. It just
So
was,
fun.
it was really cool. It was really cool. I was
Hmm.
basking in it for sure.
Yeah, I love that you just took it and soaked it all in and you still have those amazing memories. So, what projects are you currently working on? I know you're still skating a lot. And I saw some really cute sweatshirts that you have. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go buy one after this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I just have been doing so much skating work lately. I work in social media marketing for a couple companies, so that's kind of like my day job, if you will.
Hmm.
But I've been traveling so much all year, doing so many seminars with different skating clubs. And then now that it's the holidays, it's kind of show season, so I'll perform a
Yeah.
lot. But on top of that, I did create these sweatshirts, which I just love fashion, so that's kind of a big part of my skating page in general on social media, is just showcasing the different outfits that I wear on the ice. And it kind of, I sparked this idea in May this year when I was coaching, that like I came up with this phrase, not to be dramatic, but I'm spiraling,
It's so good.
because we spiral in skating, and it's a real
Hmm.
element.
Yes.
And I told it to my brothers and my now husband, and I was like, I kind of had this idea. What do you guys think about this? And they all were like, "Oh, you need to do this now. Like, take it
Hmm.
now, do it." And it's been doing really well. I mean, I'm still receiving my bulk order, so I did a pre-order, and
Nice.
the sweatshirt, everything will go live in November, which I'm very
Oh,
excited about.
fun.
But it is really nice to meet so many skaters when I'm doing my seminars and when I'm doing my shows, and now I kind of have something to like give to them. Like,
Yeah.
obviously I'm selling these crew necks, but I think it's so fun that I get to personally meet so many people, and they get to know me, and they all, like all the parents that I met this summer that I was kind of showing the sweatshirts to and wearing my like mock-ups, like they all were so excited about them and wanted to get them for their daughters and stuff, and it just was really encouraging for me. So taking on
Hmm.
this business venture, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just like soaking in the little things, like my crew necks on the back are different ways to unwind your mind, and they're just things like, take a walk outside, call your friend. So I really like that
I
messaging
love
because it's really
that.
positive, and I'm really happy to kind of share that with a new generation of athletes.
Hmm. That is so cool. I love that. And yeah, you're about to skating season is like ready to go. Like Skate America is this weekend and I'm sure you're watching
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just like you're going to be doing back-to-back podcast episodes, I'm sure. And so Yeah, this is your busy time of year. So
Oh yeah,
I'm excited
never.
for this figure skating season, though. And Worlds are in Boston, right?
They are. They're in
Which is
Boston. They
so
have a home
cool.
runs. It's going to be incredible. So I'm definitely going to go. I'm excited. I'm
Awesome.
ready.
So good. I love it. Well, where can everybody find you online, Polina?
They can find me online. Just my name on Instagram and Twitter. It's just
Mhm.
at Polina Edmunds. And then, of course, my sweatshirt company is called the Iron Butterfly. So if you Google the Iron Butterfly shop, you will find it.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting. I appreciate you taking the time. And congratulations. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
All
having me.
right. Yep. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Wedding Reporter podcast. I hope you learned a little bit and had fun today. To find more resources and podcast episodes, visit NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more information. And as always, click the subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, I'm Alyssa DeChico, signing off.